If you've ever heard from a prospective patient that they're going to go somewhere else where they can use their insurance, or you wonder how other cash practices are getting so many people to say yes to $200 appointments when that same person could use their insurance for less than $50 elsewhere, then listen up, because in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to say and provide in order to get people, even with great insurance, to say yes to your high-value, out-of-network healthcare services. Hi, my name is Jarod Carter, and I am a physical therapist, a cash-based practice owner, and the creator of the Private Pay Profit Formula. I help healthcare providers like you to create your own out-of-network concierge or cash-based practice so you can end reliance on greedy insurance companies, provide a level of care you are ultimately proud of, and reclaim your profits and your future. And if you're new here, then I would definitely consider subscribing, because I put episodes out like this all the time, and they always have a free resource associated with them designed to help you get results faster. And in this episode, that resource is a downloadable that will provide you 15 little used ways that cash practices use to command top dollar for their services. If you'd like to download that, you can go to drjarodcarter.com/episode 21. Okay, let's dive in. I'm going to start with a general overarching strategy and then dig into the details and applicable tactics that you can use to make this happen. If you want to consistently get people to go out of network and spend $150 to say $300 per appointment to work with you and your staff, when they could easily go somewhere else and spend $25 to $50 copay to get physical therapy or, a doctor's visit or whatever the case may be. It's only going to happen if you or whoever is speaking with that prospective patient gets them focused and stays focused yourself on the factors that really are important to that person outside of just the factor of cost. And yes, if anyone says cost doesn't matter, or any business coaches out there, they're wrong. They're lying. Cost is a factor, but it's only one of many factors. And usually, in most cases, it's either not the top most important factor, or the weight of all the other factors involved in their decision accumulatively is going to outweigh the cost factor. And so you have to get them focused on those things that are really important to them so that they outweigh the out-of-pocket cost in their decision making. Let me give a quick real-world analogy, something I use in a lot of my webinars. We look at, why do you buy the car that you buy? And what I'll do in the webinars is I'll have everyone put in the chat what kind of car that they drive. And then I'll put up on the screen the least expensive new car off the lot that year. Right now, at the time of this recording, it's the Nissan Versa. It's a little under $17,000. Without fail, there will be 0 people, or maybe 1 person out of hundreds, that have listed that they are driving the least expensive car off the lot. Now, why is that? And there's usually, cars in there that are 75, 100K. It's because we have a lot of other factors in the decision-making process of what we purchase outside of cost, clearly. And when I break it down for my students, and the way that we translate this into the clinic is we come up with a VOP care experience. So V is for value, O is for outcome focused, and then P is for personalized. So when it comes to cars, the things like sunroof, Bluetooth, all the features, whatever that you add value, to your car, outcome focused being the reason that the outcome that you want to get from that car. Maybe it's you've got a need for speed, you really love to go fast, or maybe it's safety for your family. Maybe it's the kind of car that'll get you out and hiking and camping more with your family, or kayaking. And then we get to personalized, and it's the personal touches that the dealership had, the personal connection you felt with the salesperson. Maybe it's you bought it online and it was the way things were written, but there are personal connecting touches that are also a part of that process. If we take that into the clinic and we start to build out our own VOP care experience, we have to make sure that those things equate to greater than that factor of cost, or E. So V plus O plus B is greater than E, or expense. So some of the common ways that people do that, of course, are longer one-on-one visits. But as I've said a lot lately in the last year or two, that is not enough. You have to go way beyond just prolonged one-on-one visits. So some of the things that people will add is the factors of the waiting room experience, the level of provider that they're working with. Maybe it's like higher technology or modalities. Maybe your niche is in golf and you've got all the bells and whistles pedals, with, the force plates and whatever. But there's a variety of things. You just got to get creative of like, what will people look at and say, wow, this is a really high value experience, right? Sometimes, even lesser common ones would be like the value that they assign on you being able to charge so much more than your competitors. It's like, oh, they must be good. I remember one time this guy came in and he had waited about 3 weeks to get in to see me. And he was like, yeah, you charge $200 and all your competitors, are working off copays, and it was 4 weeks to get into you. I figured he must be great. So I waited, and I'm happy to pay it. He literally said exactly that. So some people out there have that mindset of like, if you're paying more, then it must be better. Sometimes in some niches, even like there's like this elite status they attach to, I don't use my insurance. I go to this special, clinician who, does this and that. And it's like almost like a bragging rights kind of thing. Not super common, but that does happen. So anything you can do to add what would be perceived value to the experience that they have is really, really important beyond just longer one-on-one appointments these days. There's just too much cash-based competition to function and be successful solely on that factor. So next, outcome focused. This is where we are in our conversations in the beginning before they've even decided to buy, and throughout the plan of care, we are really making sure, this is what I mentioned earlier, that we are focusing them on the factors that are most important. So the emotionally charged limitations, the emotionally charged concurrent goals with those limitations, and something that a lot of people leave out. And it's really a shame when they do. And some of my students have seen amazing increases in their conversions when they started to get this third piece. It's the why. Sometimes it's self-evident why a certain goal is really important. I use the example often of, the grandfather with shoulder pain when he lifts his granddaughter, as she runs up to him, that sort of thing. That's self-evident. You don't have to ask, like, why is that important to you? Why do you love lifting your granddaughter over your head? Don't go there, But when it comes to, say, different forms of exercise or just going to the gym, there's a lot of different reasons why different people do those things. Sometimes it's how they look, sometimes it's how they feel, sometimes it's doctor's orders, and on, right? So when you get down to the why by asking, what is it that makes you want to run 5 miles 3 times a week? What's important about that to you? And you might be really surprised. And when you are incorporating that into your conversations throughout the plan of care at that point and in the decision-making process, that is what drives them to say yes to going out of network, because they know that what's important to them is important to you. And then personalization. It's the personal touches. Like in our clinic, we send a thank you note the day that they had their evaluation. We drop it in the mail on the way out. Thank you so much for trusting us with your care. We are so excited to, help get you back to, insert goal. Just a quick one-liner, drop it in the mail. Takes very little cost and time and has a huge impact. Personal touches. There's a lot of other, factors there, but one of the things that doesn't often get mentioned on this topic is also just being able to connect personally to your clinician, or to front desk staff. When people really connect and really like that person, we probably all had that patient that's come in and they've already been through the ringer and they've kind of they spent 6 months somewhere else. Like in my case, it's like I've heard plenty of times, I went and saw this therapist and we did this and that, and it just wasn't, it was a little bit better, but it always go back, a little bit better and go back, and not really any different. I was like, well, why'd you keep going over 6 months? It's like, well, there was a really nice guy, and I just thought maybe it would help eventually. But it was like, you hear that all the time. It's like, oh, they're a really nice guy, a really nice girl. And it's like, that personal connection and just the personality of your staff or of yourself and how you connect with each patient goes a long way. And it's a really, really important part of the P in VOP. So again, if you want to consistently get people to happily, without pushback, pay $200+ per appointment when they can get it elsewhere for $25 to $50, then you got to make sure you create a VOP care experience and that you communicate about the factors that are important to them outside of the factor of cost, not just in the very beginning in the first consultation or phone call, but throughout the plan of care. And if you want to learn 15 other really little used ways, which is basically 5 V's, 5 O's, 5 P's from this long list, you can download that at drjarodcarter.com/episode 21. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I appreciate your comments and questions. Please drop those below. If you know of any colleagues or friends that could use this information, please tag them or share this with them. And in the meantime, enjoy these related videos.